Over 70% of the AI chips used in like everything are made by just one company.
Really? Wow.
It's true. From self-driving cars to those crazy good recommendations you see online.
Yeah.
All powered by chips made by this one company, Nvidia.
Huh.
And today we're going deep on what's happening now that Amazon is trying to like take them on in the world of AI chips.
Interesting.
We're going to look at what's causing this whole competition.
Okay.
We'll check out Amazon's plan.
Sounds good.
And we'll see what this means for the future of AI.
Big stuff.
Important for anyone who's interested in tech or AI,
Of course.
business, or even just like understanding how the world's changing.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating how Nvidia got to be so dominant, right?
Well, it's tied to the explosion of AI everywhere.
Sure.
I mean, these chips are the engines behind machine learning.
Right.
Like, without all that processing power, we wouldn't have AI as we know it.
Good point.
They can process huge amounts of data so fast,
Yeah.
which is super important for everything AI. Like, from training the models to running all those AI services we use every day.
Exactly.
It's all about those chips.
So Nvidia's at the top right now.
For sure.
Their chips are in super high demand.
Yeah.
Stock price is way up.
Uh-huh.
Everyone seems to need what they're selling.
Definitely in demand.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
You've got the cloud giants,
The big guys.
Amazon,
Mhm.
Microsoft, Google.
Right.
They're all using Nvidia's chips for their own AI stuff,
Yeah.
which is a pretty big deal for
Well,
them.
it makes sense.
But they also see how powerful Nvidia is becoming, and it's kind of scary for them. Like it's a dilemma.
Yeah.
They rely on Nvidia's tech to power their own AI plans,
Right.
but they don't want to be at their mercy.
Especially with a supplier that powerful.
Right, exactly.
So what are they doing?
They're investing tons of money to make their own AI chips.
Control their own destinies, huh?
Yeah, it's almost a catch-22.
They're their biggest customers and their biggest competitors.
Exactly. It's risky for everyone involved.
I'll say.
But Amazon seems to be making the biggest move so far.
How so?
Project Rainier.
Tell me more.
They're building a supercomputer with like hundreds of thousands of their own chips.
Wow. That's a statement.
It's called Tranium.
Tranium.
Yeah, and it shows how serious Amazon is about going head-to-head with Nvidia.
They're not messing around.
Not at all. The scale of this project is huge.
It's a message to the industry.
They want to be a major player in this whole AI chip market.
So Amazon's really diving in headfirst with this.
That's one way to put it.
I like it. So one thing that's interesting about Amazon's approach,
Yeah.
it's how they're really simplifying the design of their new Tranium chip.
Tranium too.
Yeah, Tranium 2.
Yeah.
Their first one,
Uh-huh.
it was pretty complex, like 8 chips packed into one unit.
Oh, wow.
But with Tranium 2, they've gone way simpler.
Like how?
Just 2 chips per unit now.
Huh. So what's the advantage of that?
Well, it makes building them easier, of course. But the big impact is on reliability
Okay.
and maintenance.
Makes sense.
Like with the old design.
Yeah.
If one chip failed,
Uh-huh.
the whole 8-chip unit had to go offline.
Oh, I see.
But now, if one chip goes down,
Yeah.
the other one can keep working.
Interesting.
So you just swap out the bad chip.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, especially in those massive data centers
Right.
where you have thousands of these chips running all the time.
Makes sense. What about heat, though?
Yeah.
AI chips are notorious for getting super hot.
Oh, they get hot.
So how's Amazon dealing with that?
They've got some clever design stuff going on there, too.
Like what?
They moved most of the electrical signals to those printed circuit boards. So you need fewer cables,
Okay.
less bulk,
Right.
better airflow.
Oh, the chips can stay cooler.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They also have a much better liquid cooling system now.
Oh, cool.
Specifically designed for these powerful chips.
Interesting.
And get this.
What?
In their Austin lab,
Yeah.
where they're building this massive supercomputer,
Uh-huh.
they've already installed the infrastructure for even better cooling systems.
Wow, so they're thinking ahead,
Oh, yeah.
planning for even more powerful chips in the future.
It's like they're playing 3D chess.
Always a few moves ahead.
Exactly. And their development process is different, too.
How so?
Most companies,
Uh-huh.
they wait until they have a working chip
Right.
before they start testing the software.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But Amazon's doing it kind of backwards.
Really?
They started testing the software early on, using their older chips as stand-ins.
While the new Tranium 2 chips were still being made.
Exactly.
That's risky.
It is, but it lets them move much faster
Sure.
and make adjustments along the way.
Interesting. So it's like building the plane while you're flying it,
Pretty much. They're embracing that startup mentality.
even though they're this massive company.
Makes you wonder how they get away with it.
Well, it's Amazon, right?
I guess so.
Speed is super important in this industry.
No doubt.
They're aiming to release new chips every 18 months.
Wow, that's aggressive.
Nvidia usually does it annually.
So Amazon's really pushing the pace.
They are, but it's not just about speed.
Right.
It's about how all the chips work together
In the whole data center.
like one giant computer,
Like a superorganism.
with each chip like a cell in a bigger body.
That's a good way to put it.
What about quality control?
They've got that covered too.
Good. They need to make sure these things last.
Oh yeah, especially with those critical AI apps
Well, you can't afford for a chip to fail.
right next to where they assemble the chips.
Yeah.
They've got all these oscilloscopes set up.
What do those do?
They catch any bad connectors or design flaws.
Before the chips go out.
Exactly.
So they're not just rushing to build them?
Nope. They're taking their time to get it right.
Good to know.
And it's not just Amazon that's excited about these chips.
Oh, who else?
Companies like Anthropic and Databricks,
Huh. What are they doing?
they're already signed up to use Tranium 2 in their own AI
I
project.
figured they're on board.
Yeah, especially Anthropic.
What about them?
They got a big investment from Amazon,
Oh, I see.
and they're apparently pretty impressed with the performance.
Especially for the price, I bet.
That's the word on the street.
So it's all part of Amazon's strategy.
What do you mean?
They're partnering with these companies,
Yeah.
giving them early access to the tech,
Okay.
getting their feedback,
Mhm.
building some hype.
Like creating a movement?
Yeah. Attracting developers and users.
It's like what they did with AWS.
You mean cloud computing.
Yeah, they weren't the first ones to offer it,
Right.
but they built the best ecosystem.
And that's what brought people in.
Exactly. So they're trying to do that again with AI.
And they've got a head start this time.
How so?
They already have AWS.
Their massive cloud infrastructure,
Yeah, so they can offer these chips as part of that.
making it easy for customers to try them.
Exactly. They're leveraging what they've already got. They're not afraid to talk about cost either.
I bet.
They say Tranium 2 is way more cost effective than the competition.
Like how much?
They're claiming 30% better performance per dollar.
Wow, that's a lot.
So they're not necessarily trying to be the fastest.
But they want to be the best value.
Makes sense. Not everyone needs bleeding edge performance.
True. A lot of companies just want a good balance of performance and cost.
And that's what Amazon seems to be aiming for.
It's like they're trying to make AI more affordable for everyone.
Democratize AI, you
Yeah.
could say.
I like that.
And they're not rushing it either.
No.
They're starting with their own AI stuff first,
Like what?
using Tranium 2 to power Alexa,
Okay.
their recommendations,
Mhm.
all that stuff.
So they're testing it at massive scale before offering it to others.
It's like one giant real-world beta test.
Smart way to make sure it works.
And they're working closely with their partners too.
Like Databricks and Anthropic.
Yeah. To make sure the chips meet their needs.
They're even encouraging them to push the chips to the limit.
Find any weaknesses.
Exactly, so they can make them better.
That's interesting.
What is?
That Amazon's being so collaborative.
You mean?
They're known for being pretty secretive.
That's true.
It shows they understand the importance of building that ecosystem.
It's not just about selling a product.
It's about building a community. And they're being strategic about who they work with.
How so?
They're starting with companies that already use AWS.
Right, so integrating the chips is easier. It's all very calculated. They're not abandoning Nvidia
Still maintaining those relationships.
while also building their own alternative,
They're not forcing anyone to choose sides.
just offering another option.
And they have the resources to play the long game.
Billions of dollars invested,
Massive data center.
committed to innovation.
It's David versus Goliath.
Except David has a really big slingshot.
It's going to be fun to see how this plays out.
This competition is good for everyone.
How so?
It pushes everyone to be better,
True.
drives prices down.
Benefits the users.
Exactly. We'll all get more powerful and affordable AI chips.
And AI will spread to more industries.
This is just the beginning.
It really shows how fast AI is changing.
What seemed impossible for anyone to catch up with a few years ago.
Is now being challenged.
Amazon's not afraid to take risks,
Investing in the future.
challenging the way things are done,
So we've talked a lot about the hardware,
the partnerships,
Amazon's approach.
but we can't forget about the software.
That's just as important.
All right.
Yeah, the software side of all this is huge.
Huge.
We talked about Nvidia's CUDA.
Right. It's kind of the gold standard.
For AI development, pretty much everyone uses it.
It's so powerful, super versatile.
Developers are used to it.
It's like the language they use to talk to those Nvidia chips.
To tell them what to do.
It's been around forever, so it's mature.
Lots of resources, libraries, all that.
Huge community of developers who know CUD like the back of their hand.
So it's not just the chips.
No,
It's the whole ecosystem around them.
exactly.
The tools, the libraries, the community.
The support.
All that stuff matters when developers are choosing chips.
Absolutely.
So that's where things get tricky for Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
They've got their own software platform,
Neuron SDK.
but it's brand new.
Like trying to launch a new language.
When everyone already speaks something else,
You got it.
it's going to take time to catch up.
To build that same level of maturity.
All those resources, the community.
It's a long road.
So even if Amazon's chips are better,
On paper,
if the software isn't there,
developers might stick with what they know.
that's a tough one for Amazon.
It is, but they're working on it.
Yeah.
Investing a lot in Neuron SDK.
Like what?
Adding features, making it faster, easier to use.
So they're listening to developers,
Absolutely. They're working closely with their partner,
getting feedback.
making sure it actually meets the needs of people building AI apps.
That sounds familiar.
How so?
It's the Amazon playbook.
You think so?
Build something good
Make it affordable,
and then build that ecosystem.
just like AWS.
They're good at that.
No doubt.
And they're talking about cost a lot,
Right. They're saying Tranium and Neuron SDK can save companies money,
which is a big deal.
especially for startups on a budget.
Appealing to the practical side.
The value proposition
They're also highlighting performance advantages.
in certain areas,
Not saying they're better than Nvidia everywhere.
but focusing on where their chips really shine.
Trying to attract developers working on those specific things.
Smart strategy,
Find a niche and expand from there.
just like they've done before.
But they're not just waiting around.
Nope.
They're going out and engaging with developers,
Providing resources, documentation, support,
making it easier to get started.
hosting hackathon,
Workshops,
the
events,
feel of that community.
trying to get people excited.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
But they're in it for the long haul.
It's a fascinating story.
The giant versus the challenger.
Hard to predict how it'll end.
But one thing's for sure,
What's that?
this competition is good for AI.
It'll push everyone to innovate.
Lower prices, better tech.
Everyone wins.
It's crazy how fast things change.
What seemed like an unbeatable lead,
Can be challenged overnight.
it shows Amazon's not afraid to shake things up.
Take risks, invest in the future.
So can they dethrone Nvidia?
Who knows?
Only time will tell.
But the AI landscape is going to look different.
In the next few years,
What these companies do
the technologies they develop,
will shape the future of AI.
and how it affects our world.
We've covered a lot today.
Just scratching the surface.
What do you think about all this?
Yeah, what are your predictions?
I think Amazon can pull it off.
What does the future hold for AI chips?
Let us know in the comments.
And subscribe for more deep dives.
Thanks for joining us.